am here in my personal capacity. Y'all can just call me Deb. So it's, or Auntie, yeah, that's another term. Thank you all so much. It's wonderful to see all of you, Madam Mayor of Winslow, my hometown. So 3 more days. Are you all ready to get out the vote? Are you ready to get out the vote for Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz? My friends, in this election, we have the power to decide between a new way forward for America or the same old tired playbook by you-know-who. Between Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz, 2 leaders laser focused on the future, on our future. Or Donald Trump, who wants to drag us back to the past. Well, guess what? We are not going back, are we? Growing up in my mother's Pueblo household, experiencing homelessness, raising my child as a single mom, these experiences made me fierce. They also taught me that we have an obligation to our future, to lift up people who are struggling, to treat everyone with dignity and respect. I am fighting for Kamala Harris because she holds these same fundamental values. Her mother worked long hours to pay the bills on time and saved every penny she could for Kamala and her sister because she wanted them to have a bright future. Kamala's running mate gets it too. Governor Walz grew up in small town Nebraska, raised by school teachers. He entered public service to work for his neighbors to ensure no child, no community was left behind. And on top of it, you know what? He knows how to raise a family on a teacher's salary. These 2 leaders have always fought for middle-class families because they know what it means to be middle class. Over the past 3.5 years under Democratic leadership, we have made enormous progress as a nation. Remember what it was like when President Biden took over? Remember that? Yes. Over the past nearly 4 years, rebuilding our economy, lowering drug costs, and passing the first gun safety legislation in 30 years. Kamala Harris has a vision and a plan to build on this progress with an opportunity economy that lifts up everyone. It lifts up everyone, not just the rich folks among us, not just the wealthiest Americans, the people you know who was always fighting for. It includes tax relief for more than 100 million Americans, and it would expand the child tax credit, including an additional $6,000 for families with a newborn child. It would lower the price of health care and prescription drugs, make it easier to buy a home, and to help you start a business if that's what you want to do. And they wouldn't be afraid to take on big corporations that take advantage of hardworking Americans. This kind of leadership in the White House is critically important for our communities, for our families. But my friends, all of this progress, all of this possibility is at stake in this election. Donald Trump wants to take us backward. No! We are not going back. You're right, ma'am. His Project 2025 agenda would devastate the middle class, giving more tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations while making working families foot the bill. It would dismantle the federal government, erode our democracy, and restrict access to health care and education. Social Security, Medicare, and the Affordable Care Act would all be on the chopping block.
Not going back.
Does that sound like a plan that'll help our families? Our communities, our livelihoods, our planet cannot afford another 4 years of Donald Trump. Fortunately, we have another choice. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believe that no matter your background, no matter where you're from, even if you're from Flagstaff, Arizona, or how much you make, you deserve a fair shot. They believe in freedom, opportunity, and dignity. And that is what they will fight for. Not for some Americans, but for all Americans. So what do you say, Arizona? Are you ready? Are you going to show up for Kamala and Tim? What we all decide to do between now and Election Day is what counts. You only have 3 days left to make sure every Arizonan knows the stakes in this election, that they have a plan to vote. And that plan to vote, it needs to be on Election Day. That's Tuesday. And we will elect the first Native American to represent Arizona in Congress, Jonathan Nez! Jonathan Nez, Ribbon Gallego as your next U.S. Senator. Democrats up and down the ballot. I am counting on you, Arizona, so let's get to work. And as Coach would say, let's leave it all on the field. Thank you all so much. Let's do this, Arizona!
Please welcome Northern Arizona University student Emily De La Barra.
Hello everyone, my name is Emily De La Barra and I'm a lifelong Arizonian and a first-generation college student at Northern Arizona University. I am studying to earn my bachelor's and master's in social work, and I also run a small business here in Flagstaff. I am here today because my generation needs and deserves leaders who are looking out for the future. Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz are not only fighting for me and my community, they are fighting for my generation. They have a vision for the new way forward. They will protect our fundamental freedoms, create an economy of opportunity, and preserve democracy. They will support small businesses like mine by expanding the startup expense tax deduction for new businesses and cutting red tape that makes it harder to grow a small business. They will make it more affordable to buy a home. They will restore reproductive freedom. Meanwhile, Donald Trump would be a disaster for students, young people, and all Arizonians who care about our future. His Project 2025 agenda includes plans to ban abortion nationwide. And economists agree his plans would increase costs for working Arizona families by nearly $4,000 a year. And he also wants to gut Social Security and Medicare. The families in my community cannot afford another Trump presidency. None of us can. No.
Not going back.
Not going back. Folks, the question is, do you want a criminal or a prosecutor? Do you want a candidate who's going to continue to grow our economy and bring jobs home to Arizona, or a man who only looks out for his billionaire friends? Don't Trump. Do you want Trump? Or do you want to elect Kamala Harris to the presidency of the United States? If you want to help send Vice President Harris and Governor Walz to the White House, then we need your help. The time to vote is now. You can vote in person at any voting location in your county. If you plan on voting in person, please be sure to bring your photo ID. And don't forget, mail ballots have been sent out. The deadline to mail in your ballot has ended, but you can return your ballot to a ballot drop box or a voting location in your county or your county's records office. Do not wait to vote. Make sure to follow ballot instructions closely to ensure your vote is counted. But the truth is, the outcome of this election depends on each and every one of you here today. We can't do this alone. 3 days, folks. 3 days to win, 3 days to canvass, to phone bank, to organize, 3 days to fight. So don't leave here today without making a plan to vote. Don't leave here today without making a plan to volunteer. On the morning after election, make sure that you wake up feeling like you did your part to impact the outcome. And it's not just for president. We need to fight for Democrats up and down that ticket. That means showing up for candidates like Jonathan Nez and Ruben Gallego. And with that, Arizona, I am honored to introduce a fighter for working families, one of the most dedicated public servants our country has ever known, a veteran, a teacher, a coach. And most importantly, the next Vice President of the United States, Governor Tim Walz.
Small town, in a real small town.
Wow! Well, hello, Flagstaff. My goodness. Hey, one more time, when she was talking about her hometown of Winslow, how about the incomparable Deb Holland, please? Mayor Daggett, thank you. My first opportunity to be in this incredible community. Bruce Springsteen was right. It ain't no sin to be glad you're alive, people. It ain't no sin. Hey, we've got work to do, and you know it. I want to give a couple shout outs because I know you're going to get the work done. I had the opportunity to be at Window Rock last weekend with former president, with Jonathan Nez, our next congressman from Arizona. Served in Congress with a great fighter. Look, we're going to need the House and we're going to need the Senate. So we need to make sure Ruben Gallego ends up in the Senate. And a special thank you to Emily. Our future is bright when we see folks like this stepping up. Emily, thank you. Well, it's great to be back, and thank you for bringing Minnesota weather. This is summer. It's summer. Really grateful. So, look, I've got the opportunity to travel all across this state, and as I was saying, to get the opportunity to be invited and stand at Window Rock with the Navajo Nation, understanding, as Vice President Harris often says, the sovereignty of our indigenous tribes is paramount, and we're making sure here in Arizona, when she's president, we keep our promises. We keep our promises. Thank you for all coming out. It's an incredible day, a Saturday, and here you are. And I always, it is so, lifts my heart, and I hope for everybody else that's here, you all came out here for one simple, beautiful reason. You love this country, and that's why you're here. All right, you've heard it, and you know it. 3 days to go. I know you're as excited as I am about that too, aren't you? Look, we're winning this thing. We're winning this thing. Now it's not won yet. It's not won yet. But think of the privilege. Over the next 72 hours, we get to shape not just the next 4 years, but generations to come for everybody. Now, it may be stunning to some of you, but I know you're out talking to folks and you're hearing from folks. Some folks haven't made up their mind yet. I know, it's hard to believe. But look, you've run into these folks and they tell you this. They're being honest. They're busy. They're out there and they say, all right, I don't really like Trump and his personality and how he acts. And we're like, well, no shit. Yeah, that's where we get that. But then they will follow up and say, but I think his economy was good. Look, remember the Mr. Rogers thing? If you needed something, go find the helper. Be a helper and help them understand what that economy looked like. Look, under Donald Trump, that hazy memory of that, we lost 2.7 million jobs when he was president, more than any other time. Unemployment shot through the roof. And because of Donald Trump's stubbornness and ignorance around the COVID pandemic that he botched, we were out there fighting with our neighbors to find hand sanitizer and toilet paper. Look, I suppose 4 years ago, if you were a billionaire like Elon Musk, things were just peachy because you got a tax cut and we got screwed, the rest of us. That's the way that worked. Now, Trump says Elon is going to be his economy czar. He's got ideas, but he says, look, to fix this economy, we're going to have to crash it first in order to save it. But look, he was trying to be helpful. He said, for all of us, for Americans, you need to be prepared. You're going to have hardships when we do this. And the question all of you are asking, what in the hell does a billionaire know about hardships? Look, he'd also told us he's going to help balance the budget. Here's how he's going to do it. He's going to cut $2 trillion from discretionary spending. Now, for some of you, this budget gets kind of big and all that, but just to give you an idea of what that means, all the discretionary spending that the government does in a year is $1.6 trillion. So just to be very clear, at least they're telegraphing what they're going to do. If they do that $2 trillion cut, it means they cut Medicare and Social Security. That's the only way they can do it. J.D. Vance said they absolutely have to go after those things. He called Social Security the biggest impediment to fiscal sanity. Donald Trump called it a Ponzi scheme. Our family called it a lifesaver when my dad died and we needed Social Security survivor benefits to get by. That's the way it works. Look, we're hardy people. Hell, in Minnesota, we walk on water half the year. That's what we are. We're tough. We're tough. And we don't mind pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, but we didn't have any bootstraps. That's what Social Security and Medicare do for so many of us, and Medicaid. Now, this week, I like it, though, that they're getting pretty cocky about things, so they're saying the quiet stuff out loud now. Speaker of the House Johnson, you know that guy that took them like 15 guys to go through until they finally found someone to get it? And everybody's like, who the hell's this guy? Well, he's the Speaker of the House now. And he said, yeah, we're going to have to get rid of Obamacare. And all of us knows what that means is the reason that the ACA is so popular, for the first time in American history, insurance companies couldn't deny us care for pre-existing conditions. Because we know how that works. Insurance companies are pretty good at this. They like to insure healthy people. And then they like to make it difficult to pay out claims. And they like to leave the rest of us sitting out there without anything. The ACA fixed that. Now, give Donald this. He's had 9 years. And a couple months ago, he came up and he said he had a concept of a plan around health care. And Republicans then he went on to say, and this was really interesting, J.D. Vance was saying, Donald Trump has been a big supporter of the ACA. Donald Trump was there. Donald Trump ran on getting rid of the ACA. He signed an executive order his first day in office to get rid of the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to get rid of the ACA, and he tried 60 times to get rid of the ACA. If it wouldn't have been for the courage of John McCain, they would have gotten rid of the grant. They would have gotten rid of it. But just to be clear, this shouldn't be that surprising. Donald Trump isn't thinking about how to make your lives better. In fact, you can be certain Donald Trump isn't thinking about you at all. This guy gives us something every day. It would be funny if it weren't so dangerous. I saw a clip they got of him when he was golfing, and it showed his phone, you know, the lock screen where we have our dogs or our kids or whatever. Not that guy. He's got a picture of himself on his lock screen. It's a true story. I'll tell you something about that. Now, I get it. This is stressful times. Trust me, I know this. We've been through a lot. You're seeing the ads. You see the misinformation, the Russians, the Chinese, and all of this. And you're wondering, and people are stressed out about it. They're stressed. They're wondering what's going to happen. But here's the deal. There's a remedy to that. Go vote for Kamala Harris for president. Go vote. Then if you're still stressed, take another person to go vote for Kamala Harris for president. And instead of wringing your hands, go ring doorbells and get them to vote for Kamala Harris. Look, there are so many reasons here, but we've got a chance to turn the page on Donald Trump. So many reasons, and to vote for Kamala Harris, so many reasons to vote against this guy. But I'll tell you, this one may be petty, but we've earned it living with this guy for 9 years. How great's it going to be just not to see him on TV anymore? And not only that, we get to see a new generation of leadership with Kamala Harris. Look, with Kamala Harris in the administration, Arizona created 370,000 jobs, offering us a new way forward, focusing on the middle class. She said it, and you all saw it, and the world saw it on Tuesday night. That's what a president looks like standing in the ellipse on the National Mall. A president for all Americans, a president with a vision, a president who promised you on the first day she would go to the White House with a to-do list for your life, not an enemies list that gets added to every day. And she said it, top of that list, lowering costs for you and families across this country, keeping more money in your pocket. She said that's a priority every single day in the White House. Donald Trump's priority is to get on TV and make it about him every single day. That's why she comes with a plan that makes sure we have a federal ban on price gouging that gets put in place, saving you money. Now, let me give you, being the teacher in me, just a little bit of this, of how this price gouging stuff works. This is how it works. I was with a farmer up in Erie, Pennsylvania, day before yesterday, and he grows corn, potatoes, and ran some cattle. And I asked him, I said, how much you getting for a bushel of corn? He said, about $4.10 a bushel. And I said, so when food prices were cheaper, how much were you getting for a bushel of corn? About $4.10. We're paying more. He's not getting any more. And corporate profits shot through the roof. That's price gouging. There's a hurricane coming to Florida. They tell people to get out as soon as you can. Wow, so weird. Airline prices went through the roof. And then the most despicable one, insulin and drugs that people need to be alive. $35 because of Kamala Harris for our seniors to be capped at that. In Minnesota, we had a young man named Alex Smith. He turned 26 and aged off his parents' insurance. He started rationing insulin and he died from it. His mom, Nicole, came to the state capitol and said, never again will a family go through this tragedy. So in Minnesota, we extended the $35 to all Minnesotans. That's what Kamala wants to do. That's what Kamala wants to do. Here's your price gouging on that too, folks. $35 for that month's that little vial. They were charging $800. It costs $5 to manufacture it. So when you hear Kamala Harris say, we're going to put more money back in your pockets by taking on corporate greed and price gouging, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. 100 million Americans get a tax cut, focusing on $6,000 on a child tax credit, that during the COVID pandemic, when we instituted the child tax credit, we reduced childhood poverty in America by half, the most in our history. That's what we're doing. And then for all of you, the thing all of us want, to be able to have a home, it's generational wealth, it's security, making sure that we're creating more affordable housing, but for the first time, offering up to $25,000 down payment assistance so folks can get in their homes. And as we're surrounded by small businesses, people with the American dream, For years, there's been a $5,000 tax credit for start your new business. The average startup cost for a small business is $40,000. Kamala Harris is proposing a $50,000 tax credit for new businesses in this country. So, folks, that was a little snippet of what we call a plan, not a concept of a plan, but a plan. And I'm damn proud of that because it focuses on the middle class. Now, look, I should be fair to the other side a little. Well, no, I shouldn't, but I will be. But look, they do have a plan. And they did us a favor by putting it in a 900-page book, and it's Project 2025. Some of you know this. I'm proud of this. I coached for a long time. If you're going to take the time to make a playbook, you're going to run the damn plays. You don't just make it up. These guys are like, oh, I don't know anything about Project 2025. J.D. Vance wrote the foreword to the book of the architect of that plan. And then he said, I don't know anything about it. I have never written the foreword for someone's book, but I assure you, if I did do that, I would remember doing it, just to be sure. Now, look, this is a damn nightmare for the middle class, and you can go on and on. In Trump's Project 2025, it repeals the most significant investment in our country in over 50 years in infrastructure, in the bipartisan infrastructure law, taking back billions of investments all across this country, taking the Inflation Reduction Act that's moving us towards a clean energy future and thousands of new jobs across the country, taking that back. We are not going back this way. We are not going back. And then this dude is nearly 80 years old. He tells us he's a genius, a stable genius. And he apparently went to the Wharton School. In those 80 years, you'd think he'd have learned what a damn tariff is and who pays for it. We pay for it. His tariff plan, his national sales tax plan, will add 20% to the cost of most things you buy, adding up to $4,000 to families across this country. That's his plan. Now, look, we got asked, how are you going to pay for your plan? Well, for starters, he can pay his taxes, and that'd be a start, and make some fairness to it. Now, I want to be clear. I'm sure in this crowd this big, there's folks in here, at least the older folks remember it, and you might have been one, independents and Republicans, that added much to this country. But let's just be very clear here. These guys under Donald Trump, this is not John McCain's Republican Party. This is not John McCain's Republican Party. When these guys talk about freedom, what they mean, the freedom to be in your exam room, the freedom to be in your bedroom, the freedom to tell you what to read, the freedom to dictate things in your life that we all know is none of their damn business to be in. None of it. None of it. When Kamala Harris talks about freedom, she means the people. You should be free to make those most personal of decisions about your health care, about your family, about your personal choices. And let's be very clear about helping the middle class. Freedom means a lot of things. Freedom means our seniors being able to retire after a lifetime of work, being able to retire with dignity, with Social Security and Medicare benefits enhanced. And this next one for all of you here, and he brought the little ones. And I'm sorry about that colorful language, but I've about had it with the guys on the other side. So I'm expressing it like a good Midwesterner. But look, this one's serious. And I say this as a dad, as a teacher, as a governor. Our little ones, getting them dressed up in their best clothes, send them off to school to meet with fantastic teachers who are paid a fair wage doing it. And have those little ones to be kids and learn, to give them the freedom to go to school without being shot dead in their classrooms. And I know here in Arizona, I know guns. I'm a veteran, I'm a hunter, I'm a gun owner. Kamala is a gun owner. We have both protected and understand that you can protect the Second Amendment while upholding our first responsibility, the protection of our children and our people. You can do both. And all these wonderful guys who came out today, think about those loved ones in your life, and think about the women in your life, your moms, your sisters, your partners, all of those people in your life, your neighbors. And when you think about them, think that this election literally has their lives on the line in this election. Donald Trump, when he made that decision to pick those Supreme Court justices who went in front of the Senate in their confirmation hearings and lied about upholding Roe versus Wade, they overturned it, and he brags about it. He is now glad, is in your mind the picture of those loved ones in your life. He is glad that they now have less rights than their mothers or their grandmothers had. And Kamala Harris asked those judges, can you name a single law that governs men's bodies? And she couldn't get it. And by doing this now, we have 20 states, including Arizona, that have Trump abortion bans in place. And now this week, he tells us he's going to put RFK Jr. in charge of women's health. Yeah, but he even made it a little clearer for you. Donald himself said, don't worry, he'll be your protector. Can't even open the door of a garbage truck, and let alone so. Well, look, he followed up in the last day or so and said he's going to do that whether women like it or not. So some of this stuff might be comedy fodder if this guy would go back to just being a buffoon on TV, but he's not. He's asking to be president of the United States again. And so because of that, now what we're seeing, what he means is women are turned away from emergency rooms and miscarriaging in parking lots, whether they like it or not. Survivors of rape and incest are being forced to carry those pregnancies to term, whether they like it or not. Fertility clinics have turned couples away at the door, whether they like it or not. And for so many of you out here, and for the women here, certainly, it's personal. On the fertility side, Gwen and I have talked about our struggle with this. We struggled for years with infertility. Because we had insurance and fertility treatments, we had our beautiful family. I will be damned if anyone will take that from anybody in this country. Right. But when we elect a Democratic Congress, when we hold the Senate, and we have a President Harris, she will sign into law the reproductive freedom bill that we all know we need to do. And this stuff's not that complicated. Kamala and I simply trust women to make the decisions about their own body. Now, here's the good news. I kind of have a feeling that women all across this country, from every walk of life, from either party, are going to send a loud and clear message to Donald Trump next Tuesday, November 5th. Whether he likes it or not. Well, Kamala said it and you said it. We're not going back. So I'm here today, Flagstaff, on behalf of the next president of the United States, to humbly ask for your vote. How many of you have voted? How many took somebody else to vote? All right. We got 3 days. The momentum is on our side. The momentum is on our side. I spent too many years doing this, and this is what you live for. We're in the last 2 minutes of the game. Literally, everything's on the line. The good news is we got the damn ball. We got the ball. We got the best quarterback in Kamala Harris. We don't get tired because we know there'll be plenty of time to sleep when you're dead. So do it then. And every vote we get, think about this. And to some of you, all of us, but the younger folks, I tell you, this will happen. There's going to be a day you're going to be sitting in that rocking chair on the porch. And a little one's going to come home from school. And they're going to have learned about the 2024 election. And they're going to look at you and ask you, what did you do in 2024 to protect the democracy and do what 250 years of American patriots has done to defend our Constitution? They're going to ask you that question, and you're going to get up and you're going to proudly say, every damn thing I could. Every damn thing I could. So, folks, one vote per precinct in Arizona. could be enough to turn this thing in the direction we know it needs to go. Get out there, inch by inch, door by door. Don't ring the hands, ring the doorbells. Get on the phone if we can. Get people out there. Make a plan and have somebody else have a plan. For you, we are not going back, people. We're going to the polls. We're going to the polls. To the young people out here, they did a study. When young people 18 to 25 hear that one of their friends or acquaintances is going to vote, they vote at nearly 80% rate. If they don't hear it, it drops near 30. So this is your time. Ask people, have you voted? If they say no, say, I can help you with a plan. Offer to take them to the polls. Buy them a cup of coffee. Do whatever you need to do, but these one votes. Because I'll tell you what, when we wake up on Wednesday morning, and this guy is history, and the world sees what a President Harris looks like, and a unified America who stands with our allies, stands for human rights, stands for a better future, stands for tackling climate change, the rest of the world will have Flagstaff to thank for making that happen. So it's time, folks. When we vote, Arizona, win this for America. Let's go.
I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. Every day in a small town, oh, small communities. All my friends are small town. My parents live in the same small town.